John Riot sent me an email and specifically handpicked me to provide input for his new video game, 2XKO, the League of Legends fighting game. I was lucky enough to get an alpha code for the game, and I spent a lot of time with it, and it was very, very, very fun. I'm not a tag team fighter type of fighting game player. My background is in Melee. I am a competitive Super Smash Bros. Melee player. I've been playing Melee since 2014. I've organized tournaments, and I've done quite a bit of commentary for Melee and Ultimate and other fighting games. That's kind of my niche in the fighting game community. And hey, I also do fighting game videos on YouTube, so go fucking figure it out. I really enjoyed the time that I had to spend with the game, and I thought that I could provide some feedback. Now, the game is very obviously in alpha, and I understand that the game has the potential to be drastically different on its official release, so I won't be offering my opinions on the funny way that characters glitch off of the screen whenever, like, you win, or they need to, like, leave from doing an assist or something, or the lack of win screens between rounds, or even the quirky little way that when you click rematch, the menu goes away and then you just see like a dark room with some chairs, or maybe like a monitor from the lobby before returning you to the game. I spent as much time with the alpha that I possibly could, and thus I experienced, learned, observed, and raged a lot. And due to this, I have quite a bit of feedback to provide, with some feedback that I think stands out from the majority of other creators talking about at this moment. So let's get started. Let me tell you my thoughts about 2XKO, the League of Legends fighting game. We'll start off with gameplay first. The game is really fun. I think that there have been a few fighting games that have attempted to make, and forgive me for using this term, I know that real fighting game players probably don't like it, but I'm going to call it what I've always known it as, doubles, the main gimmick of the game, and I've never liked it. I hate doubles. Doubles fucking sucks. I've never enjoyed it. It's not fun, and there definitely have never been any games that have done it and deserved the best fighting game award ever. Multiverses. I avoid doubles like the plague. I don't like it in Smash. I don't like it in multiverses. I don't even like it in tennis. I have trust issues. I hate trusting my teammate, and I hate not being in control of any situation at any time. But 2XKO was actually fun. Understanding, once you finally understood like how switching in works, how assists work whenever you're on the bench and your teammate is at point, handshake tags work in a very fluid and intuitive way. Once you truly understand how and when to utilize them, I was super surprised at how fun playing doubles in this game actually is, which makes me really, really excited to see the final product, because there are, I'm sure some things will get polished, and I'm sure some things will get reworked as time goes on, but the core gameplay surrounding doubles, as this is the game where we duo up and you and a friend climb the ranks together. It works. It's good. It's fun. It's really, really, I felt so happy whenever, my buddy played Yasuo, I played Ahri, and sometimes when there were those moments where things really clicked between us, and Zach was able to get them in the corner and hit a dope combo, and then I was able to OTG them with Ahri's back assist, and then he was able to pop them back up for an even longer combo. It feels It feels good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. I like it. I think this is going to be a really, really, really fun game, and the direction that they're going with it is pretty solid. Um, on the other hand, there is the entire just like 1v1. And that also feels great too. You know, that I feel a lot more comfortable with playing because, again, I'm a bit of a control freak. I like being able to control when my assist comes out. I like knowing that if I'm trying to hit a long combo, then my assist won't come out in the middle of that combo and completely fuck up my timing, which happened once I found out that a colleague or that I found out that Ari had a like not a had like a loop off of her special one. Um yeah, it's the 1v1 is good. The game is fluid. It looks slow from a spectator's perspective, but when you're playing the game, it is a perfect pace. Everybody seems to have huge buttons that it almost feels like a Guilty Gear type neutral game with big buttons. The big bodies in this game, they're good. Alawi's huge. Darius does huge major damage. Braum is annoying. Like it's just so it's fun. The gameplay is fun. There's a lot of mechanics baked into this game that make it so deep and enjoyable. Mechanics that I even forgot existed because it just you go, oh, I have push block. Oh, this costs meter. Oh, there's a parry. Oh, there's a get up attack. Oh, there's a universal cross ups. There's universal overheads. Some characters have dashes, some don't. Everybody has 2 assists. There's just a lot. Oh, there's a burst now. What the hell? Like, oh, this hits OTG. This doesn't. There's so much under the hood that you can tell that this game was made not just for newcomers, because it is very much geared towards, hi, we're Riot, we're infamous, probably more so, for League of Legends, and now we're taking our most successful IP, translating it to a brand new genre, and obviously we're in it for the cash, baby. We want this to be free to play. We're gonna sell some skins, and so we're gonna make this deep, which they did. We're gonna make this for fighting game players, which they did, and we're going to try and strike a fine balance between veteran fighting game players who know what they're doing, and we're going to try and get the newcomers to feel comfortable playing our game. And I think that they kind of did that. There is a lot of, it feels like there's a lot of thought and ideas that went into this, kind of seeing what worked and what didn't. And I think that there is a reason they're saying that this game's not going to be done until 2 years from now, which, gun to my head, I would say, and this is, I do not think that this is the major consensus. I'm a little bit of a fucking freak weirdo, but if they released this game like tomorrow in the state that it is in right now, I would be totally cool with it. I do not give a shit. I had that much fun with it. I think that for it to be at this state in alpha is very an interesting move on Riot's part to allow people to kind of test the game and allow people like me to give them feedback, because it does sound like they're actually listening to feedback. So I really, really do hope that, this catches the ears of somebody at Riot and they decide, you know what, this Piinkhat guy, I've been watching this Jeremy Piinkhat dude on YouTube. He's a very underrated fighting game variety streamer, creator, musician, cartoonist, and I love him and his thoughts, the way his brain works. I think that we should listen to everything that he has to say and implement it, because it is very clear to me, the developer that works here at Riot headquarters, who has very close ties to John Riot, we should do everything that Jeremy says, because he is objectively correct on all of his opinions. And to that developer, I say thank you. Please consider all these things that I have to tell you, because I really do think that my critiques are a little bit more granular than the typical combos are too long. Oh, this character is too overpowered. I think the animations are boring. I've even heard things like the super animations look bad. Yeah, no shit, man. It's fucking alpha. Like, what do you mean? You know, like, yeah, of course the animations and the supers and the everything's not going to work. The game's not finished. But I do think that I do have a little bit more opinions on kind of like the control scheme, which we'll get into right now. I don't like the way that the buttons are handled. The button layout is like light, medium, heavy, special 1, and special 2, and then a tag button. So it's a 6-button game, but 2 of those 6 buttons are purely for special moves, and then there's 1 button to tag in and out, and then your 3 light, medium, heavy, which is fine, but I think that we can kind of make some adjustments to make the controls not feel so... They don't feel bad. But if you're going to play this game, you gotta be aware that you have 2 special buttons, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I think we could easily just kind of like turn it into one, at the very least, 1 special button, but I would rather there be no special buttons at all. We could turn this into like a 3-button layout, 4-button layout, whatever works, but let's talk about one of my biggest issues in terms of, like, we're going to section this thing out. Let's talk about the controls. We're going to talk about the controls right now, starting with probably one of my biggest critiques right here. I want motion inputs. I understand that Riot has opted to go with the modern controls in an attempt to make the game accessible to newcomers, and I have absolutely zero problems with that. I think fighting games should be accessible, and devs can do whatever they wish in an attempt to increase their player base. I think that everybody knows that the real game begins not by making inputs easier, but by teaching the metagame to players. Something that's way more difficult than lowering the skill that it takes to do a fireball. They're trying, though, and I'm not mad about it. I'm sorry that I went on a tangent, but I do want to make my opinion on modern controls abundantly clear. I want fighting games to be an accessible genre to everyone, and if modern controls create the illusion to a newcomer that this game is easier to enter, then I'm totally okay with that. It doesn't impact me at all. I come from a melee background. I can handle a dedicated special button. I will say that I really hope that Riot gives me the option to switch to input controls. I feel more comfortable with inputs. The down special input to do a super fucking sucks, and I don't like it. Motion inputs are ingrained in me, and there's something that feels more fluid about a combo when motion inputs are involved. Street Fighter 6 has shown us that it's entirely possible to create a system where both motion and modern controls are capable of existing in harmony with each other, and I'm begging Riot to, at the very least, consider giving us the option of input controls. Tie them to a fuse. I don't care. I just want them. Although, tying them to a fuse would suck so much, and I think that is a great joke for April Fool's Day. So, John Riot, if you're listening, consider that. I think that's a great idea. I also take issue with the way that cross-ups are handled in this game. I don't want cross-ups to be binded to an air command normal. I only played Ahri and Alawi throughout the entire alpha, and I may be missing something here, but I don't understand why cross-ups can't exist in this game in the same manner that they exist in almost literally any other fighting game. I don't see the reason why cross-ups are designed this way, and if someone can shed light on the logic behind the design decision, then that would be super cool. Ahri's jumping heavy already looks like it's a move that can cross up. There's no reason for me to have to jump and then input in the air, input down and heavy in order to just do a move that, 1, won't hit in front of my opponent, and 2, only hits as a cross up. That it doesn't it just seems like it's treading into artificial difficulty territory, and it's kind of unnecessary. Ari's jumping heavy can just have cross-up properties. That just seems like the easier thing to do. Having cross-ups binded to a command air normal just feels completely unnecessary. I think newcomers will already have trouble understanding the way and the idea behind cross-ups and how to utilize them and what to do, and it's already hard enough. Tying it to a universal mechanic feels like that it could confuse more people than it helps. I don't like it. Just take it away and just treat cross-ups like any other normal fighting game would. It's not great. It just feels it feels like fluff that doesn't need to be there. The last critique that I have in this controls section is that anti-airs feel really wonky in this game. Anti-airs are command normals done by holding down and pressing heavy, and that's totally normal and fine. We've seen this throughout the decades in which fighting games have existed. A lot of fighting games have anti-airs that are crouching heavy. That's fine. I mean, shit, that's Street Fighter 2, Ryu. You can't do a DP, you crouch heavy punch and you get your uppercut. To this day, Street Fighter 6, you crouch heavy uppercut people. Like it's perfect. It's great. It does what it's totally normal. Regular. Crouching heavy being an anti-air? Chef's kiss. Who would have thought? What I take issue with is the animations for the anti-air. Specifically, Ari and Alawi and somewhat Darius. I only played Ari and Alawi during the alpha test, and I noticed that their anti-airs didn't feel like anti-airs at all. Attacks that have anti-air properties have been communicated through the attack's animation in fighting games since Street Fighter 2, and I don't like the way that it looks in 2XKO. Historically, anti-airs follow an upwards trajectory that properly communicates that the button is supposed to be used for anti-airing your opponent. It travels upwards. This isn't a problem for characters like Braum, who has the funny push-up, or Yasuo, who kind of just like slashes in front of him. It looks like a 6P in Guilty Gear. And especially Echo, who has a very traditional looking anti-air. This man's swinging for the fences. Like it looks good. He has the only good looking anti-air in this game. It properly communicates what it's supposed to be used for. Braum's is funny. But if we're talking about like good traditional anti-air animation that you look at it as a seasoned fighting game player and you go, oh yeah, that's my anti-air. It's Echo is the poster boy for good looking anti-air. Way to go, Echo. You've done it once again. But yeah, again, this is a problem that specifically impacts Ari and Alawi's anti-airs, because Ari and Alawi's anti-airs start at the top and work their way down. They're like both kind of like doing a downward smashing, hitting the ground animation, and it follows a downward trajectory. For me, the anti-airs starting in the air and ending on the floor has messed up the time. And again, guys, hey, I need to come here, come close, listen to me. I'm bad at video games. So for me, it fucks up the timing of the anti-air for me. Usually when it follows an upward path, I know when to press the button because the animation shows, there's an animation that plays, and I know that at the end of that animation, my hitbox will probably be out. Whereas with Ari and Alawi, it's the hitbox begins at the beginning and works its way down, which makes the timing of the I ate so many jump-ins because it just felt so hard to properly anti-air with Ari and Alawi, simply because I just couldn't get the timing right due to the different attack animation. I think that it's really important that communicating a move's application through its animation is super important. I think that this is how seasoned fighting game players can easily understand when to use a particular move. This is why there is uniformity that crosses series in regards to how moves look. Sweeps look like sweeps, jabs look like jabs, and anti-airs look like anti-airs. So please fix this. This is probably one of my biggest complaints about the game. I do not like it. I could go further, but I think that this video has gone far enough. I kind of wanted to talk about the mechanics and the fuses, but I thought about it and I realized that I would probably just be parroting a lot of things that a lot of people have already said. You know, I think the fuse system is really cool. I think it adds a lot of depth. The handshake tags are really fun, sandwiching people in between each other and then just like getting sick cross-ups. I live for that. It makes the game hype. I like the I like the 2 times assist. That's what I used the majority of my time with the alpha. Ari's back assist is crazy, and using it twice is even crazier. I love it. I didn't do the Fury. I thought the other 2 fuses were much more interesting, and I don't know what you want me to say about the Pulse fuse other than I'm glad that Riot has found a way to strike a decent balance between allowing newcomers to feel like they're actually playing the game by adding auto combos. Uh, I don't have a problem with auto combos. If you have a problem with auto combos, you're just bad at the game. Simply don't get hit. You know that somebody using auto combos is just mashing, so just wait for them to do something, you know, unsafe. I don't know what to tell you. Just block, literally block. But there's no problem. I have no problem with auto combos. Um, the game's very deep. Like there's a lot of really fun mechanics, and uh I don't know what else I could possibly say other than the game is fun. So to tie it up, I just kind of want to talk about the different odds and ends. This is leaning more towards the haha hee hee, the game is in alpha, and so let's get into it. As for the odds and ends, this is kind of where I want to not pick apart the very in alpha state of the game, but this is more me trying to let other people know how much I actually liked what they're doing with certain the direction that they're taking with certain things. Like the lobby system. I'll be the first to say it. I hate fighting game lobby systems. They're executed so poorly, they look awful, and they add nothing for me. I'd much rather have the option to be thrown into immediate matchmaking by pressing a button, which I'm sure will exist in the final product of the game, but I will give this lobby system its flowers. It does a lot of things that I find entertaining. I love that there's like a stream setup where you can watch people play, and I love how they handled spectating. You can just stand by a cabinet that's being used, and I adore the win streak system and the leaderboard monitor in the lobby. And for the first time ever, I'm actually enjoying a lobby system because I think that these tiny details were the things that were actually missing from making a lobby system experience actually enjoyable for me. So that's really cool. And also, the customization is great. I'm a sucker for character customization in any game. I had a fun time designing my avatar, and I'm more than positive that I will spend so many more hours customizing my avatar in the final release of the game. you know, I'm sure there will be more clothes and stuff. And for now, I really enjoy what Riot's doing with the customization options. It's a 10 out of 10. I'm really easy to please on this front. I'm excited to see what comes of it. And last but not least, the name is bad. Change the name.